Hey everyone, this is PrinceWatercress and welcome to a brand new Let's Play. This time around it is the Mega Drive version of Daze Before Christmas, which only came out in Australia, which is a very narrow area to release any game in. Might as well go ahead and go to the options menu here real quick. You can toggle the sound effects and music. You can choose between easy, medium, and hard difficulties. You can choose between 10, 20, and 30 seconds for how long you can be invincible as Anti-Santa. There's a password system, there's a sound test, and you can change what A, B, and C buttons do on the Genesis/Mega Drive controller. I'm going to stick to the default, which is B for jump and A and C for the attack. You can choose between 1 and 2 player modes. I'm just going to choose 1 player mode. I actually played the Super Nintendo version a while back, and now I decided to go ahead and re-gift this, but go ahead and play the other version. Basically what's going on is that a bunch of evil, awful louse, as the game wants to call them, have wrecked Santa's plans to send all the gifts to the children for Christmas, and now we have to beat these guys and restore order so that way kids around the world can get their presents on schedule as usual. Honestly, really love the little rhyming intro here, to be honest. So yeah, this version of the game anyway, was released only in Australia, so good luck finding a physical copy of this. It's probably not gonna come cheap, I can tell you that much. And now we see the advent calendar, which shows us which stage we are currently on. And once we press any button, we will see the title screen for the next stage, a little title card. First level is Santa's Hallway, and as soon as this title card disappears, fades to black, we start the level. Left and right obviously let you move around. You can look up or down by holding up or down respectively for a few seconds. Down also lets you crouch too. And by pressing A or C, as per default controls, you can shoot out this little magic attack that not only lets you turn enemies into presents, but also lets you open presents that you see. You obviously want to pick up the blue ones because you'll need those for the bonus levels every 6 levels. And you also want to open as many presents as you can because you get a bonus for every one you open at the end of the level. And by going down here, we can pick up the Santa head, which will give us an extra life. Want to avoid bombs. If you see one, you want to stay away from it and wait for it to explode before you move on. Santa hats act as your hit points for this game. You start out with 5, and if you lose them all, you lose 1 life. Thankfully, you can pick up Santa hats to get more. Sometimes enemies will be in the red boxes, so be very careful. Thankfully, you can destroy the enemies with your magic attack. 1 hit will usually do it. And sometimes you'll find L's, which will give you bonus points. Now this guy was not the Super NES version as far as I can tell. And we can't do anything to him, but we did see this cup of coffee, which if we pick it up, turns us into Anti-Santa. By turning into Anti-Santa, this guy will not hurt us, but we can hurt him. And by defeating that little rock golem, we actually get to turn him back into an elf and we get bonus points for it. I'm waiting here because as Anti-Santa, you cannot get presents from enemies, and you also cannot open presents yourself. And since I left the invincibility time at the default 20 seconds, it does take a while for Santa to turn back to normal whenever you grab the cup of coffee that turns him into Anti-Santa. You do get to hit enemies with your sack of toys or whatever it is that's in there, but you don't get any blue presents for defeating any enemies while in this form. And since I can't open presents, as I mentioned seconds ago, I'm going to have to wait until I turn back into normal Santa so I can open them. And by touching that star, you end the level. Blue presents give you 100 points, red gives you 150, yellow gives you 200. The gold ones usually contain power-ups that you'll need. such as the hats and the extra lives and other stuff. We're now going into the second level, Let It Snow. For this level, you just want to keep running to the right and pressing the attack button the whole time. More often than not, you will take out enemies before you can even see them. And those jack-in-the-boxes, you have to get close in order for them to move. And they can only be hit while they're moving. Now, that looks like a pit right there, but that's really the end of the level. That's a very, very short stage. And now it's time for level 3. What's it going to be here? Ice Cave. Ah yes, the Ice Cave level where you drop down on cloud platforms and rescue a few reindeer. I definitely remember this from the Super Nintendo version. And of course, as seen there, if you hold down for a few seconds, not only will you crouch, but you'll also be able to look down. We picked up a red square with a lightning bolt on it. That turns our magic attack into a fire attack. It still has the same effect as our usual magic attack, but it can also melt ice walls that the reindeer are hiding behind. The reindeer just give you points. That's pretty much all they do. And there's only like a few reindeer to rescue in the game, and you don't really have to rescue them. You can just blow through this game in like mere minutes, and you won't get any different in ending. But it's cool to do it anyway. Cloud platforms obviously disappear after a few seconds once you land on them, so you want to be careful. There is the cup of coffee that turns you into Anti-Santa. I'm obviously not going to need it for anything, so I'm just going to move past that. The spikes here, they don't kill you, they just take 1 unit of health away, which is nice. And of course you have new enemies such as the penguin that will throw snowballs at very high angles if you're close enough. Thankfully I managed to take them out immediately whenever I see them. Thankfully, platforming through this area isn't hard at all. And it won't be long before you get through the ice cave. Sometimes elves will be in the gold boxes as well. Again, the elves just give you points for rescuing them. You don't really have to do anything else. Once they're rescued, your job is pretty much done in that regard. Oh, and the bells. The bells act as continue points. Once you hit one, in case you lose a life, you'll start where you last touched a bell instead of the very beginning of the level. And who can forget those snow owls that just fly around in a circle? They're easy to defeat. Icicles will come down when you get near. Thankfully, they're pretty easy to trigger. And we should be reaching the goal right about now. A lot of bonus points here. And now it's time for level 4, Blue Magic, where we'll be doing even more platforming. Not sure why it's called Blue Magic, but okay. Now you have these planes that fly around in a circle. They're no different than the snow owls we saw in the ice cave, but they are a tad faster. And of course, those are those dreaded jack-in-the-box enemies again. Definitely want to take care of them, and that's a wall. Let's go back down. And of course, we've got conveyor belts. You don't want to go in there unless you want to be trapped in the present box for a few seconds. Thankfully, you can get out of the gift wrapping that those machines put you in pretty easily. Only takes a few seconds. But I just jump on those things and then just walk my way over anyway. A lot of jack-in-the-box enemies in this stage. And the magic carpets. Jump on the magic carpet, it'll take you someplace. It will disappear after a while, so you want to be careful. Usually disappears whenever it reaches its destination. There's really not much to this level, to be honest. I will say this about the Mega Drive so far. The music is a little bit slower, a little more FM synthesis-y, but it's not bad by any means. I do prefer the Super Nintendo version's music better, though. Also, this one probably feels a little slower than the Super Nintendo version, but you do get used to it. And when you move over a Jack-in-the-Box enemy here on a magic carpet, you know you've reached the end. You can go ahead and take care of the 2 enemies down here before you make the goal to get some extra presents if you so wish. Now it's time for a boss stage. There are 4 bosses in the game. The first one we're going to meet is the Evil Snowman, and we'll meet him at the end. And this is just like level 2. You gotta be a little more careful though. There are bridges, and there are parts where you will have to wait for a platform to take you across the water. You still have the usual enemies from level 2, such as the snowmen that I forgot to mention, that will throw their heads at you. But you also have new enemies, such as these fish, that jump in and out of the water. Thankfully, you can finish off the snowmen from far away. They weren't much of a problem in level 2, because I could just run and gun all the way through the level, and it only takes you less than a minute. And when you reach this second lake or body of water after the bell, you know you've reached the end. Get on the platform, kill the fish, and then when you make it to the other side, you'll trigger the boss music. Grab the fire magic power up and then get on the cloud. Make sure you stand on the right edge so you don't get hit. And you want to jump up and hit the evil snowman in the head. And you'll have to keep doing this until he dies. Ugh! Really love that noise. Sounds a little better here than it does in the Super Nintendo version, at least to me. Genesis was pretty good at doing digitized voices, or Mega Drive if you prefer to call it that. And after about 6 hits, I believe the evil snowman finally goes down, and you can finally complete this stage. Every 6th stage will be a bonus area where you fly over a country and you have to drop presents down into chimneys where smoke is coming out. When we see smoke, drop a present on it, the smoke will go away, and you'll have basically dropped a gift down the chimney. Which is kind of weird, because if there's smoke, that means there's fire, which means that present is probably going to get incinerated. That's just me though. I'm not going to question game logic any further. There will be things flying around, such as the Union Jack balloons and the spinning helicopters. You have 5 hits, but if you don't know what you're doing, you will quickly lose all of these, because some of the stuff here is really easy to avoid, especially if you don't know the level fully. And you don't have to throw a gift in every chimney. You can go the whole bonus level without throwing anything anywhere, and that was a dumb hit. And you can just go through the level that way. I mean, the game's not really going to care. There's the Big Ben clock tower there. And I am really not doing well right here. I really did not do too well in this bonus stage. Thankfully, once you reach London Bridge, or whatever this bridge is, somebody was probably going to tell me in the comments, you know you're near the end. Thankfully. Password G8WTK3A. There's one every 6th level. You'll need one in order to continue your game from where you left off. And that is it for the first quarter of the game. Join me next time where I take on levels 7 through 12. Until then, this is PrinceWatercress. Take care, stay safe, and thanks for watching!